everyone, and welcome to The Essence in You. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Nichole. She is a well beings coach and a meditation teacher. And I am so blessed and honored to have her with us today. Nichole, please tell us about yourself.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. As you were saying, I'm a certified well-being coach and meditation teacher. I've been out on my own with my own business called Self-Centered for the last couple of years now. Primarily focused on the coaching aspect, but meditation just comes up in all aspects of life. So it ends
Mm-hmm.
up being integrated even into my sessions in some way. So through that experience, I felt called to also certify in meditation so that I could provide that to the women that I work with as well. But I am primarily someone who works with women and supporting them on their journeys to reconnecting to who they truly are, right? Who we truly are beyond all of these titles and these different accolades and the hats that we wear, the mom, the businesswoman, the wife, all these sort of things we can lose ourselves within,
Mm-hmm.
that I lost myself within at one point in time. And just it's sort of a homecoming experience, coming back to yourself, reconnecting to who you truly are. And I'd like to support women through that journey of that reconnection. Yeah.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And I believe that all of us have that lostness.
Mm,
At some point we give ourselves away and then we forget who we truly are and what we truly like and what we truly enjoy because we're thinking about the husband, thinking about the kids. Yeah, we try to say, I'm going to just go for myself, but how often do you really go for yourself without somebody calling you, Mom, guess what happened? Dad is doing this, or Mom, or Mom, it's just,
mhm.
yes, yes. And we do lose ourselves. And I actually believe that through all the trials and tribulations of us growing, when we're in our 20s, when we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, that
Mhm.
you truly don't know anything until really you hit your 30s. Because then you can say, hey, I seen you before, or I seen that before, and I'm crossing the street. I am not even doing that today.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Right? And so, along with the meditation, and I found meditation early because the school that I went to all Catholic school, all Catholic girls school.
Uh-huh,
And it just so happens that the nun or the nun, the sister, we called her
uh-huh.
the sister, she taught us how to meditate before a test or to meditate if you couldn't sleep. So she taught us how to
Ah,
relax and do all that. So I was introduced to it way back in the 80s because that's when I
wow.
was in high school. So way back in the 80s. And it has been with me ever since.
Mm,
Ever since. And that is a gift that keeps on giving. It's a
mhm.
gift that keeps on giving. Now, I did not know that there were meditation teachers. I did not know that till you said that. So
Yeah,
where did you discover that? How did you discover that?
yeah. So, actually going back to, your high school, I went to an all-girl Catholic high school as well, but
What?
meditation was not anywhere in there. Girl, if we didn't get on our knees and stand and kneel and
Mm-hmm.
stand,
Yep.
you know what I
Yep.
mean? It wasn't actual. It was a structure of obedience of the laws and the rules that
Mm-hmm.
the school was founded on. And I love the school, I
Mm-hmm.
love the teachers. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
bad experience that some people have with the smacking of the hands. It wasn't that at
Mm-hmm.
all, but it definitely wasn't an education around developing a relationship with God by going within.
Inward. Right.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was.
outward.
Mhm, mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. But yeah, so meditation, I kinda stumbled into it in the most organic, way. I, listened a lot to Debbie Brown throughout my
Mm-hmm.
tumultuous experience, Dark Night of the Soul, that wrestling, that
Mm-hmm.
spiritual
Mm-hmm.
awakening journey. I feel like it just flash bang, and Debbie Brown
Mm-hmm.
was a big source of softness throughout that journey, and she had mentioned Chopra. And so
Oh,
my
Deepak.
curiosity, yeah, Deepak, yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So my curiosity led me to a retreat, a Chopra retreat. That
Mm-hmm.
curiosity led me to
Wow.
coaching, like, and it just like the dominoes, the pieces just kept falling into place.
Mm-hmm.
And to attend that retreat, a big part of it was meditation. And
Mm-hmm.
so through that, I received my mantra,
Mm-hmm.
and really that study just developed my interest in meditation as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I certified for coaching, there's this voice saying, "Okay, now it's time to certify with meditation." And I'm like, I just let me fill
Mm-hmm.
this out first. And it was like, no, meditation. And then I looked up the tuition and I go to my husband, well, I guess I'm doing meditation. And he's very supportive. And within less than 2 weeks' time, we money appeared out of nowhere. That was like a $50 difference of the tuition for meditation. So I was like,
Oh,
okay, I'm
wow.
definitely doing. You get what I mean? So it's like every
Yes,
time
yes.
I started to take a step and show interest or movement, the universe would like meet me. And so I fell into meditation. I had already fallen in love with it, but it helped deepen my practice, and it it became more of an integrated part of the process of, my coaching and how I work with women in their, in the coaching experience working with me.
Mm-hmm.
And even through moved houses and different experiences, I have my mat, I have my
Mm-hmm.
place, I have my space that everyone
Mm-hmm.
knows when I'm there, I am there. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, yes, that's where I find my centering. That's where, it's funny because a while ago, it's been a while, but I joke because my husband, depending on my mood, my husband would be like, "You didn't get a chance to meditate today, did you?" Going to my mat now. So,
And I can so relate to that because my husband now, like, I try to do it in the morning before I go to work.
mhm,
And I have to be at work by 6. And I
mhm,
work at the base, so which means I get up at 3:30. I'm out of here by at least a quarter to 5. So that 4:30 to quarter to 5, that's the only time that I have to meditate because when I get home, there's no telling, dealing with traffic and everything
mm,
of that nature. But he'll say that to me too. He goes, okay. I tell him, okay, honey, move, kiss, kiss. I'm going upstairs. So he'll go, all right, no, that's not no crazy stuff, is it? I was like, no, it's meditation, something that you need to learn to do. Because I
mm.
tried it with him, his mind. How long are you gonna do this? I said, you need to quiet. How do I quiet my mind? So I believe he needs like walking meditation where he could just walk and think and go.
Yeah.
But it's so funny you mentioned Deepak Chopra
Mhm.
because that was one of the first people that I, on a cassette tape, shows you how far back that is, on a cassette tape, and I would listen to him in my car, him and Wayne Dyer. Those are the two. Wayne
Wow.
Dyer and Deepak Chopra. And
Yeah.
yep, had their books. Deepak Chopra had a book, I think The Secrets of something. It was Seven
7
Virtues or
laws
something.
of
There you go.
yeah, it's let
Yes,
me write
something like,
here
oh
we go.
yeah.
7 7 spiritual laws of success.
Mm-hmm. Yep, on a cassette tape.
Yep.
Him and Miguel Ruiz. Him,
Mm,
agreements, yeah,
mhm.
that go way back, yeah. But
Yeah.
I am so thankful that you were able to attend the classes and the meditation.
Mhm.
That's a big deal. That's a big name. And you got your own meditation, your own mantra. That's even better.
Yeah,
So, wow,
yeah.
how was that experience for you? What happened when you were there? Was it like overwhelming, powerful, just
Oh,
moving?
yeah, the
Yeah.
retreat, it was an affirmation of a pivotal point in my life. It was around the time where I was really burned out with work. I was on the coming out the other side of this awakening, and it's just like, what
Mm-hmm.
does life look like now? And
Mm-hmm.
so it was almost like a blank canvas that I was stepping into. And I compare it before, like, just going through the robotic way of life, living in the gray, to that experience just bringing so much color, so much infinite possibility, right? Things that I never would
Mm-hmm.
have considered are now within my awareness. And I have the nerve to even consider them being in my awareness. Whereas before, it was a very well set up and structured life. I was set up for quote unquote success. I'd be
Mm-hmm.
crazy to stray from this. I'd done all these things to develop this safe life that had great cushion and comfort, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
still felt like I was walking into the gray, and going that retreat came right at a time where I was like, what's next? Cuz this can't be it.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of it was we meditated morning and evening, meditation and yoga, morning and evening. We had a Ayurvedic diet during the retreat.
Yes.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was completely immersive. The
Mm-hmm.
people that were there, it felt like it was intentionally crafted that way. The sort of connections made, the sort of experiences. There were other people there that whose our paths would have never crossed any other
Yep.
way, but still it was just like this magical connection nonetheless. And I made a joke towards the end of it that on the way to the airport I was going to turn around and it was going to never have existed. Like it was just
Mm-hmm.
not going to have been there. That's how magical the experience was. So yeah, I highly recommend going to one of those retreats if you can.
Yeah, that is totally awesome. And I can so relate about being around the people that you never would have met and have a connection that is beyond belief.
Mm.
Yeah. I had
Mhm.
went to a goddess retreat not too long ago in a
Mhm.
snowstorm. It was that stormy storm, winter storm that
Ooh.
came, and all of us made it. And it was like all of us was meant to be there because it
Mm.
was treacherous and it was beautiful all at the same time. And I tell you, those women, I love them to my heart is full, you know.
Mm.
And we still talk to this day. We still see each other, you know, on Zoom, and Abiola always has her things going on, so we see each other then. We talk each other on the phone, and that's a connection and a bond that
Mm.
just was unreal because I never would have expected that at all.
Mhm.
It was just a beautiful, beautiful group that supported each other and life changing. And that's
Yeah.
hence this is why I'm here. Yep.
Yes.
Why I'm here. I wouldn't
Beautiful.
have it any other way. Any other
Yeah.
way. Any other way.
Mm.
So how once you did your meditation, you got your meditation cer- certificate or what it training
Certification. Yeah, yeah, my training.
certification. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm sorry, certification. How did you develop your business? How did you go about um, talking to your clients and getting people to, hey, you should try this, you
Mm.
know? And what did your family say? You know, because I'm all like, oh, she's in that voodoo stuff or the voodoo. I was like, oh no, that is not it. And
Yeah,
Lord,
yeah.
when I said, oh, crystals, what? What is that? Oh yeah.
I know. You know, gotta have my
Yeah,
nearby
that's
little my little stash. Yes.
yeah.
um, so deepening my practice and really meditation has become another aspect of that connection with myself, higher self, and source, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
through deepening that practice, I have and I continue to find my truest voice, and I'm able to embody that through my business. So not
Mm-hmm.
even just the client interaction, but what are my values? What do I want to accomplish with this business? What do I stand for? Even down to the marketing. I had this like wrestling as someone who came from corporate America, and I know how to do the marketing, but that feels disingenuous. So what does genuine marketing look like? So all that sort of things,
Mhm.
deepening that practice and that connection just plays such a strong role in how I show up within the business in the forefront and behind the scenes. And as it relates to my clients, I usually ask if they are open to a grounding experience before we start our sessions. And
Mhm.
people have found so much um, centering in that practice that
Mhm.
that was also like a little sign to me to pursue the certification. So I was already
Mhm.
getting that feedback before I even had the certification. Like, like we would come out of that grounding and people would just like, they would come to the present moment and they were ready for the session. And I was like, okay, there's something. So it wasn't a hard thing to sell per se, because
Uh-huh.
it only took that one time of a person realizing that sort of dropping into the moment and how good that feels for
Mhm.
it to always be a yes going forward, because I still always ask permission before going into it.
Right.
My family, the funny thing is that my family always my mom is the quote unquote hippie out of the
Uh-huh.
siblings. And
Mhm.
so, as the oldest of her children, I think everyone expected a little bit of hippie out of me, especially like me wanting to do organic is hippie, right?
Right.
But or crystals or cloth diapers, just like the
Uh-huh.
different way elements of unconventional sort of small things, right? That those are things
Right.
that you wouldn't consider hippie, but it's unconventional in the sense of here she go again, here she goes again.
Right.
So when it transitioned into a spiritual element, it just made sense to everybody that I have close connection with. Now, granted, I know there's been there's been people worried about me in the sense of, are you no longer Christian? I'm afraid to
Mhm.
understand what your beliefs are. I'm praying for you. Like, you get what
Mhm.
I mean? And
Yes, I do.
the person I am now, when it first was brought to my attention, it saddened me, right? Because I am still
Mhm.
me. This doesn't make me less me. This actually makes me feel more me. And
Mhm. Mhm.
have being questioned about how stepping away from the box of religion,
Mhm.
being question around my connection to God without it.
Mhm.
Like, how could you be if not this, so to speak? It was hurtful at first, but who I am now, I can see that that was all from a place of fear
Mhm.
and their way of loving me and
Mhm.
their belief that I'm damned to hell by taking this approach in my connection with God. But in reality, under that structure, I never felt connected with God. I never
Mhm.
felt like I could communicate, talk with God fearing. I didn't
Mhm.
want to have a conversation with God. I was God fearing. Like, don't look at me, like shame, like,
Mhm.
oh, I snuck that candy bar or I did that shameful thing, like hiding from God. I never had a relationship because I was terrified based on these teachings.
Yeah.
To now where sometimes I'll hear something, it could be the house settling, but I call it angels. It's angels
Mhm.
visiting. You get what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel so much more connected to God in this space because I've shed the limitations of what it looks like to connect with God. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, it does because if you think about it, um, it's almost like God's an all forgiving God. God's a good God, which He is. But then on that flip side, God's gonna get you if you do that. God's gonna get you.
Mhm.
God don't like ugly. So it's like it contradicts itself.
Yeah.
And then when people do, we were always taught to question everything, but You could not question religion.
Mm-hmm.
That was totally off the table. And then so some people don't realize that for us African Americans, Christianity was beat into us. So our roots are really gone of what we may have brought up or believed in. And
Mm-hmm.
we always have to remember that when our ancestors came up, they came up a certain way because they were taught a certain way because they wanted, and I say they wanted them to forget who they were
Mm-hmm.
and who they and what they stood for and their strength. They wanted to for them to lose that. And in that process, we adapted their world, what they wanted us to have. So I always look at it as they don't know what they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And because they didn't have the outreach and teachings that we are privy to, they didn't have that. So now our minds have awakened.
Mm-hmm.
But you always have to meet people for where they are
Mm-hmm.
because there is so deep rooted in us. Go to church, God. They say Jesus has hair of lamb's wool. But when you walk into a church, our church too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, with that interpretation, it saddens me, but I'm grateful for it because then I wouldn't be where I'm at now and where my mindset is now. And I know that God is the essence within us, that you
Mm-hmm.
always go inside of you. You always believe what inside of you because God will give you the answers inside of you instead of someone depending on a man to give them that answers because that man is still a man. When
Mm-hmm.
God has put the gift in us for the answers and to find our being and our truth. And that is what our
Mm-hmm.
soul being is all about for
Yes.
me.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
speaking for me. Yeah, just speaking for
Absolutely.
me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's pretty deep. I mean, there is a whole, I always tell people, there's a whole other world out there other than what you see. Because
Literally.
sometimes,
The science proves it. Like
exactly,
literally. Like
the emerald tablets for one. Boy, that really blew my mind. I was like, the what? I never heard of that until I did my research. And
yes.
then the Akashic records. I just discovered that. Now, well, I
Mm-hmm.
would maybe like 3 months ago. And I was like, the what? See, and here I've been in it for a while and never even heard of. I heard of yes, there's a library of all your soul's beings, but
Mm-hmm.
actually that's what they were talking about was the Akashic records.
Yep.
So I'm you know taking a class about that. So
Oh, nice.
yes, yes, yeah, it's really deep. I mean, it's interesting. It's now that meditation,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to go into a meditation,
To access.
progressive to access.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that I'm looking forward to when I actually cross that threshold. Because
Mm.
sometimes I'm like, I got to see what really good. What I got to see first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
I'm still that I got to see. Like, how do I want to really know if I'm.
Yeah. I was like, let me check this out for myself.
Yeah, let me check this out for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's the freedom to explore that. It's the freedom
Mm-hmm.
to be curious and to find the way that speaks to you and your connection
Mm-hmm.
to the divine. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was telling my best friend earlier today that even I had to admit that even my meditation practice, I had created so much rigidity and I was doing the religious thing again. I created this
Mm-hmm.
box. And if I missed the meditation, like I missed my
Yep.
meditation yesterday, again,
Attachment.
shame. Yeah. Like
Yep.
now I'm no longer worthy of connection, of miracles,
Mm-hmm.
just from, you know what I mean? In that basic idea that we have to do all these things to be worthy of connection, where even that ideal is the separation. That creates
Mm-hmm.
a separation, not the act.
Mm-hmm.
The ideal that the act is what you need to do
Mm-hmm.
to be one with God.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the separation exists.
Yep.
And
Yes.
here I was creating a new sort of religion and ritual in regards to, just because I missed it on the mat doesn't mean God isn't everywhere and I can experience God in all these different
Mm-hmm.
ways through like nature, my children, all these
Yes.
beautiful
Yes.
ways. But here I was again setting. So it's like even as you're coming out of the confines of those structures, you're still repeating some of the same thoughts, thought
Mm-hmm.
processes,
Mm-hmm.
habits
Mm-hmm.
around, and there's nothing wrong with having your process and your habits that creates that
Mm-hmm.
stability and that consistency, but not allowing that to dictate your worth
Right.
and your ability to connect. And again, that freedom, leaving it open enough for that freedom to explore what calls to you, because maybe the divine wants to express through this course, through the Akashic records in a new
Mm-hmm.
way to deepen
Mm-hmm.
that connection. Like, but no, I've got to stick to this one lane of what I know to be my way of connecting. It's like, no, like source is always there and everywhere, and it's just different ways of getting to know and to deepen that connection. Yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful journeying and playing in the different facets of the, even the 3D, 5D, 4D, all of that. Like
Yes.
I'm just so curious about play and all of
We're
that.
supposed to be in what, 5D now or three,
Yeah,
four,
moving
4D
into
now? Yeah, moving into five.
to
Yeah,
5D.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That's all still
yes. We're all
circulating the
interconnected. Yes. Some of us had an upgrade, of your cells, and yeah. I know people are like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, right. We clearly subscribe to the same people.
Yes. You got
Yes.
that right. Boy, but it is true. We are all interconnected, whether it be
Mhm.
a blade of grass, a tree,
Mhm.
the leaves on the tree, how the leaf dies and comes back, the ocean, every some things resonate more with people. Like some people resonate more with the water. Some people resonate
Mhm.
just by putting their bare feet on the earth.
Mhm.
Um, it depend. You just have to close your eyes and just sit
Mm.
and just listen. You don't have to do anything.
Mhm.
I could go in my backyard and just sit, close my eyes, and listen to the birds and
Mm.
listen to the cars go by. And you can hear one bird. I'm like, oh, that's a finch because it has a little. And then there's one bird that's little with a big voice, I call it. So
Mm.
it's just little things that make you
Yeah.
go, this is this is really deep. Or, that manifestation is a deep thing. Because it does happen. It's like, whoa, okay, I got that sign. Thank you. I asked for
Yeah.
it. What? You're
Yeah.
like, no, come on, that has to be no. But see, that's it. How many times they have to show you?
Yes. Good and bad. Like I believe we're
Mm-hmm.
always manifesting. It's
Mm-hmm.
when we can identify the good thing that we manifested, that we identify it as manifesting, but we're co-creators. We're always
Yep.
manifesting, whether we're
Yes.
doing it from a state of awareness versus unconsciously, that
Mm-hmm.
that self-fulfilling prophecy of repeating those same negative thoughts, those same negative behaviors, manifesting those same outcomes that are unfavorable. Versus I tell you what, um my car that I have, this is really when I was just like, what is this? What is happening? But I drove my cousin's husband, just blended those two words, car, and was like, I'm gonna get me one of these. And I had no reason to believe that I would get it that quickly, but within months, I had that car with the features that I wanted and everything. Just because I said it, I released it, and I just
Uh-huh.
released
Let it go.
attachment to it in a series of events. Boom, 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 boom. And I was like, oh, there was no rational way of me seeing that path from A to Z, except the intention and releasing it to the universe and being
Mm-hmm.
open to how it came
To
to me.
receive. Yep.
Yes. Yes. So
Yes.
yeah, it's I just yeah, yeah. Life is so magical.
Until it is, and until it happens, to you, you don't really believe it.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
until you actually say, okay, I'm gonna try this. Let's see what them two young ladies are talking about. Let's try
Mhm.
it, and it happens. I'm telling you, people, it does
It
work.
does.
It really does work. You are the creator
Mm.
and co-creator, actually, of your life,
Mhm.
good or bad. So you always, as my mother used to say, it will behoove you to, watch your thoughts, watch how
Yeah.
you talk to yourself.
Mhm.
Especially that self, oh, I'm so stupid, or I just can't believe you need to cut that out and
Yep.
flip it. Like, well, I know I'm smart and I could do better than that.
Mhm.
Or something like that, because it is all in how you talk to yourself
Mhm.
and what you manifest.
Truly. Truly. The life I had before my awakening, like I can see from here. I couldn't see it then, but I can see from here that it was exactly the life I had hoped for.
Mm-hmm.
From this disconnected space, from someone else's idea of what success looks like and what the perfect life looked like. I took that ideal and I manifested it. I crafted
Mm-hmm.
it. It was down to the house with the fence, with the kid, with the cars, with the dog, with the husband in the
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood. Like it was, and that's the place that I reference being in the gray.
Mm-hmm.
Cause is this my life? Like, why do I still feel something's missing? You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I took on these different ideals of what my life should look like based on these structures and these norms, manifested it, and because it wasn't mine to begin with, I it there was that grayness around it. And so yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we can even manifest the things that we think we want, but still the fact that we haven't really tapped into our innermost desires, which I believe is God wanting to express through us, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we're manifesting someone else's desires, there's still that discourse because God wanted to experience God's self through you in this way, but you
Mm-hmm.
just took on somebody else's identity. You get what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? God's
Yes.
expression of somebody else that somebody else is supposed to have and somebody
Mm-hmm.
else is supposed to live. So it's picture perfect, but you're detached from it because that's not the experience God wanted to have through you.
But you have to, in that same respect, that's how we were as women brought up. We wanted to have
Mhm.
the house and the family and the kids and, the neighborhood and the good schools. And that's what we strive for.
Mhm.
At the time when I was growing up, I don't know how old you are, but at the time as I was growing up, you had to at least be married by a certain age, or
Mm.
they would come to you and be like, well, "So what's wrong with
What's
you? Why
wrong?
ain't you
Yeah.
married yet?"
Yep.
So that I believe was everyone. And
Mhm.
then when again, like you said, when that doesn't work out, because was that what I truly wanted? Until somebody else's, the environment of which I was raised in.
Mhm.
But granted, they're very, very supportive. No qualms there. That's just how, again, that's that passing
Yep.
down, you know,
Yep.
the generational passing down. Oh no, you have to do this because, oh no, you have to, don't go out of here with a scarf on your head. We couldn't do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, I believe how that's how we were bred
Yeah.
initially, especially for us going to an all-girl Catholic school.
Mhm.
That's just how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can accept that it comes from a place of love or protection
Mm-hmm.
and perceived safety,
Yep.
but it
Because it
also
did.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't think any of it came from a place of harm, but it did stunt the connection to who I truly am
Mm-hmm.
until approaching 40. You get what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
when, oh my gosh, I remember. So I'll be 42 this year, and I was chasing 40 since like my mid 30s. I don't think anyone, especially women, really have that experience. But something about it was like, that's when I really get to know myself. Like I even placed that. I separated myself from getting to know myself to the amount of time I spent
On
on
this
earth.
earth.
Yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm gonna love that decade. Like that's where you get to settle into who you really are and that sort of thing. So again, just creating limitations for myself around these ideas passed down from a place of safety and love, but
Mm-hmm.
not mine, not my
Mm-hmm.
own. So
Yep.
yeah.
But so how have your inner growth helped you? Like how did that help you? Like when you were sitting there in your 40s now and was like, man, I'm in my 40s, but what made you come to that turning point when you realize, man, I wasn't even enjoying my life then because I was so busy trying to, be settled at 40 that I may have been settled. I could have been settled earlier, but I didn't give myself that opening or that chance. When did you come to realize that?
Mm, I think I'm still finding areas of realization around these self-placed limitations, like even down
Mm-hmm.
to the one from this morning around what my connection with God is supposed to look like on the mat during
Mm-hmm.
meditation.
Mm-hmm.
What's great about my training now I get to point to, but also that deepening connection and the wisdom of age is that I can see it faster.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Mm-hmm.
identify it faster, and I can make a conscious decision on what's next. Am I going to ignore it? Like, and I'm kind of stubborn. So usually the answer is no. Once I know it, I can't ignore it. Like, what are you doing,
Right.
girl? But, but it's that ability to make a conscious decision instead of going about life in the gray unconsciously. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even the tragic and sad things that happen to me, I'm able to find beauty in. So like
Mm-hmm.
for example, I lost my baby, my dog, the other year, right after Thanksgiving. And years ago, my dad passed Thanksgiving Day. So me and my sister have this beef with Thanksgiving, but
Mm-hmm.
from this place, I can acknowledge that she was in pain and she actually is like, why couldn't I have had more time with her? Well, these symptoms started over a year ago. You had an extra year with her. Like, now I
Mm-hmm.
can connect with the other, the grace of the experience and her holding on until I was at a place where she could leave. You get what I mean? I can
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
appreciate those sorts of things in the ugly. So
Mm-hmm.
now as I have these different ugly experiences, I'm like, where's the beauty? There's
Mm-hmm.
always beauty. There's always a rhyme or reason. And even if I can't see it now, trusting that I'll see it eventually, or that inner knowing that even if I never see it, that knowing that there was still something beautiful about that. And the
Yes.
loss of my dog is where it really clicked for me because, oh, you would have thought that was my
No,
baby.
I can understand. I have a crazy dog named Nia, so I understand
Mm,
wholeheartedly. And she is, and they are part of the family. You
hmm.
know, that, I mean, she's with you on a good day, bad day.
Yes.
They're going to meet you at the door and get on your
Yes.
nerves. And Nia barks at everything, but doesn't bark
Yes.
but what she's supposed to bark at. So I understand. So,
Licking all the strangers.
yes.
Tail wagging. No, protect
Yep.
me.
Yes, you're supposed to bark. He's in the house now. You're supposed to bark when he's ringing the doorbell. She's the only dog that I know that somebody can ring the doorbell and she don't even go to the door or bark. I've never seen such a thing in my life, but that's what
Oh,
she
man.
does. Now, when you step
Oh.
in, then that's a different story. But
Mm.
yeah, she doesn't correlate the doorbell and somebody's at the door. She doesn't it doesn't register for her. So she has blonde roots like her mama. What could I say?
Look.
Because that's for sure what my husband was saying. It's just like her blonde roots. Yeah, because I do have those blonde moments. I'll be the first to admit that. I'll sit up there and go, "What? Oh, okay, okay." Because I sometimes when after like work or something, I just data dump. Phew. All right,
Oh,
that's it.
yep.
So
That was
and so
me.
don't ask me no complicated questions
Yeah.
at a certain time in the evening because I'll be like, "What are you talking about? I don't know."
My husband jokes like, "Oh, that college education." I'm just like, "Look, stuff got sorted, but I had to make room for new stuff, so some stuff
Yes,
got tossed out. Like it's a limited capacity in here. Leave me
yes,
alone."
yes. Love them to death, but
Yeah.
yes, yes. But I'll be the first to admit I drive him absolutely nuts. I'll be the first to admit that. I'm his yin to his yang.
Oh,
I'm his yin to his yang. So, with Mr. Well, what other certifications are you embarking on, or have you found your niche? Because they used to talk about your niche. Have you found your niche in
yes.
your coaching and meditation
Yeah, absolutely.
certification?
So I did a short course around woman-centered coaching, and what drew me to that was this calling to work with the woman I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not only have I been coaching all these years, even in corporate America, right? So I've got the experience, but that was in corporate America, coaching other leaders in the sense of, their teams and, the big structure of it all. And one of the reasons why I left that was the structure of it all. I couldn't
Right.
tap into people's intuition and let that be the part of the guide. You've got to fit into these standards in HR and these handbooks. And
Mm-hmm.
so um really have come to know that I am meant to work with, in this season at least, women who are at the stage where I was, successful, thriving by all appearances, right? Like checking things off
Mm-hmm.
the box. They can achieve the goals. They're the go-getters, but there's something missing. And I think about the shame and embarrassment to even speak that, right? Because
Yes.
like, girl, if you knew what I had going on, or but your husband loves you, or you've got this great job, and that just makes you feel even more shame in trying to
Mm-hmm.
express that. And so you walk around with this painted smile on your face. And I
The
want to,
mask.
yeah, the mask, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're telling women going through that you're not alone. More of us experience it than you would know. And
Mm-hmm.
let's reconnect to who you are beyond. Let's start removing the layers of those masks and really reconnect to who you are so that you can live a life that's in congruence with your
Mm-hmm.
truest sense of self, right? Like my
Mm-hmm.
company is called Self-Centered
Mm-hmm.
intentionally because I think as women we were brought up to be um self-sacrificing,
Yes.
um to cater to the needs of others at our own expense often.
Mm-hmm.
And self-centered was such a dirty word. And except in different practices, different spiritual practices like
Mm-hmm.
yoga, meditation, coming back to center, like
Mm-hmm.
all these other places where being centered is okay, except
Mm-hmm.
a self-centered woman. You get what I mean? So I
Oh yeah.
intentionally, you can't mm, live a life of self-actualization without that coming back to center. And so I just wanted to kind of throw the word right back out at everybody. Like, yeah, being self-centered is where it begins. That's where you
Mm-hmm.
lead this aligned life centered in self. So I work with women, and I just finished testing my new program called Dream Catchers Academy.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So it all came very naturally, and I'm very excited for when I do the broader launch. But it's around a guided journey where women get to become really clear about what their dreams are, their own
Mm-hmm.
dreams, their own deepest desires, and aligning with those to create this life of their dreams and to live it out loud with confidence, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the other part of it. We can now become centered in self and know thyself and really, but now what? Like what where do we
Yeah.
bridge the gap between that knowing, becoming comfortable with that knowing, and now living the life of our dreams without shame, without the stigmas? So yeah, I'm going to be excited to announce that launch coming soon.
I can so relate to that. To thy own self be true. And that
Hmm.
is the hardest thing to do,
Yeah.
to create your boundaries and, be true to yourself without other people, again, other people thinking about what other people think of you,
Yeah.
like you're being selfish or self-centered or,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. That is so beautiful. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait. I am so excited for
Thank
you. I
you.
am so excited for you. So tell the audience here where can they find you and how
Yes.
can they reach you?
Yes. So I am now on the socials. I've never really been one for social media, but I am
Me neither.
creating a
Yes, I
presence.
gotcha.
Yeah. So everywhere at selfcentered.com. Centered is with the three. Three has a very special meaning for me. So centered is C3NTERED, selfcentered.com. On Instagram as well. I'm not on the TikTok, guys. I'm sorry. like I'm inching my way into social media, and right now I'm figuring out Instagram and becoming more visible there for the time being. So yeah, as well as my website.
Oh, well, we like to thank you, Miss Nicole.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with me today. I do appreciate it. You are a humble, humble soul, and I believe
Mm.
that we connected as soon as we talked on the phone. It was like, boom. Because I'm always the person like, what you see is what you get. That's about it.
Yes.
But thank you, sister. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best of love, light,
Mm.
and happiness, and in all your endeavors, may they be sweet and successful.
I received that. Thank you.
Feel that. Thank you, goddess. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye,
Oh,
everyone.
bye bye.